What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. This is our NFL Week 7 betting preview. Sides, totals, props, moneyline dogs, touchdowns, and of course, our Sunday six-pack with the help of my co-host, the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuck. How you feeling heading into Week 7?
Middle of the grind, man. It's that time of the year, just trying to find as many winners as possible. Helps coming off good week, 10-3 week, good week for the six pack. But who cares? We're on to this week to try to find some winners. It was fun to get the anytime touchdown parlay with uh McBride came through, and then we just needed Genty,
Yep.
and he came through in the late slate, so that was fun. But hopefully we can run that back this week. But let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, we'll do our moneyline dog parlay, our touchdown parlay after the total in the six. But we'll start with the six pack. Of course, Stuck, you're up 22-15. You're staying hot. So I'm not cutting into your lead, even though I've had a few, 2-1 type weeks in a row. So good stuff there. I'm up first for week 7. And with my first pick of the week 7 Sunday six pack, I am going with the New York Jets plus 1.5 at home against the Carolina Panthers. And I mean,
You can't quit this team.
if you thought that pick last week was disgusting, this might arguably be even worse. But I will say I have been betting the Panthers too, so you can kind of think of it like that, a fate of the Panthers. But when you look at this matchup, so a couple of things. First of all, mentioned last week, Panthers, much different team at home than on the road. You can just look at Bryce Young's career performance against the spread at home, 10-6-1. Barely covers, though. Average cover margin is just 1.1. He's only been favored once at home in his career, Bryce Young, and he lost that by 18.5 points on the spread. He's never been favored on the road in his career. He's 5-11 against the spread, 31%. Failing to cover by over one possession per game, a minus 8.6 margin. This will be the first time, the second time he's favored in his career, the first time on the road. He's never been even a dog by a field goal or less on the road until now. So this is a big jump coming off 2 wins against the 2 worst defenses in the league. And you look at Rico Dowdle. He's been a revelation, sure. Absolutely. Still don't understand why Dallas let him go exactly, but he shredded the Dolphins in week 5. They were second worst defense in the league in EPA per play. Coming into that game, still second worst. Cowboys, the next week. Coming into that game, worst defense in the league. Still the worst defense in the league now. So this Jet defense, it hasn't been great all year, but they have played a tough schedule, and their metrics are a lot better when you remove turnovers because they're not forcing any. They've had terrible turnover luck. You finally saw that start to change a little bit early in last week's game, and that probably made a difference, all things considered, because that was just a slog of a game. But no one wants to buy in on this Jet team that had negative 10 yards passing. But I think that they can play another one of these games where Carolina is not going to be as successful on offense. I don't think their run game is going to be as successful. And, we've seen Justin Fields do this Jekyll and Hyde thing. And we're starting to hear whispers about Tyrod. I don't mind if they go to Tyrod. Tyrod's success rate in his lone start, now granted it was against the Bucs, but was sky high. The Panthers defense, I'm still not completely sold. I do think they have made some legit improvements, but mostly I just think their offense, night and day, home and away. And it's Jets defense, top 7 against outside zone runs. That's what, Rico Dowdle has been the most efficient. He's averaging 11.5 yards per carry on outside zone. The Jets are giving up 3.3. That's top 5. And they're giving up 0.8 yards before contact, which is also top 5. And then Dowdle's most used run concept, it's been, man duo concepts, about 40% of his runs, and the Jets defense top 8 against those as well. So I think the Jets are going to be able to stop the run here. I want Bryce Young to put it up in the air. Tet McMillan, this could be potentially his worst game. Looking at that for Sutton coming into that Denver game, and it played out exactly how I thought. Same thing with Garrett Wilson on the other side. But he ended up getting hurt. And that's going to hurt for the Jets, obviously. But, Wilson would likely be locked up in this one anyway. So I just think that this Jet team is getting underrated here. I have them, it's about a tiny favorite, actually. I'm not upgrading the Panthers that much on the road for beating the two worst defenses in the league, going down 17-0 to the Dolphins. I just have to see a lot more. I think the time to kind of get on to them was the last 2 weeks. The time to hop off is now. I'm going to stay on the Jets, baby. So give me the Jets for my first pick.
Out of all the teams, I mean, this is an ugly slate. You could have led the show off with you had to go with the Jets
Yep.
with
Yep.
no Garrett
Yes.
Wilson. I don't know how they moved the ball. It was my
You said that last week. I don't know either.
And they didn't. But now they got to win, though, pretty much. The cover is the problem.
It's the Panthers. It's literally a guy who's never been a favorite in his life on the road is 5 points better than he's ever been because his best spread has been plus 3.5. And by the way, Bryce Young as a road dog by less than a touchdown, 2-7 against the spread. So this is just.
I'll join you if it's Justin Fields. I mean, if it's Tyrod Taylor, my guy.
Freudian slip.
All right, so I mean, I just don't know how they can't even complete a pass with Garrett Wilson.
Have you forgotten who the Panthers are when this? I don't think the Panthers are going to beat the Panthers of the last 2 weeks either. I mean, the Jets held the Broncos.
I don't know. I'm not saying the Panthers are great. I'm saying the Jets. Also, the Jets are so poorly coached. Like the penalties, the explosive plays, the end of half sequences, the game management. Maybe I'll join you. I'm not against you, but as of right now,
they should have won that game. It should have been 14-13 if they get their shit together at the end of the half.
All right. For my first pick in the second overall of the Week 7 Sunday six-pack, you went with Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor, potentially. I'm going with the team who I don't even know who the quarterback's going to be, and the Minnesota Vikings. Plus 2, I think, is the best out there. Doesn't matter for the contest, but get 2. Plus 1.5 at DraftKings.
I thought you were going to say it doesn't matter for the Vikings. Just put a quarterback out there. We'll beat them.
Plus 1.5 at home at DraftKings at hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Surface stuff here. Coming off a bye with an elite staff. One of the best home field advantages in the NFL. Their offensive line also should be pretty much close to full strength. Their center, Kelly's still on IR, but their backup was back in practice yesterday. Brian O'Neill was back in practice. Jackson looks like he's going to go left guard. So they're going to have their full complement of weapons, offensive line. Their backup center was back, as I mentioned. So this team looks very healthy. Maybe you get Van Ginkel back. Not sure. I think he's more likely not to go than go, but it looks like Blake Cashman's going to be back. That'll help with the run defense. And on the Eagles side, Jalen Carter banged up. Their offensive line banged up. And most importantly, it looks like Quinyon Mitchell's going to miss. And what does that mean? I mean, that means Ringo and Adoree Jackson are going to be starting at corner against these receivers. I don't care who's in at quarterback. I actually have Carson Wentz rated higher than McCarthy. It's not much, but there's more variance with McCarthy. Like maybe McCarthy has a higher upside, and maybe like after the bye and he was hurt earlier. But Wentz hasn't been bad. He's been like 11th in success rate, 11th in adjusted EPA per play, 11th in completion percentage, plus EPA. So like it's not been terrible for Wentz. But the thing here is that I really like is this matchup for the Minnesota defense. I mean, if you look, this Philly team they're not a good football team right now. I mean, they just got dominated by the Giants. A pure luck win against the Rams. They really should be like 2-4, 3. I mean, you lose at home to Bo Nix, up 2 possessions. Every single week, there's a whole half where they cannot score. And what can they not do under this offensive coordinator who is a disaster, Kevin Petula? They cannot move the ball. They can't even complete a pass against zone or against blitz. I mean, if you look against zone, they're minus 0.18 EPA per play. Average was positive 0.15 EPA per play over the previous 3 offensive coordinators. It was even positive with Brian Johnson, although it was an issue with Brian Johnson. Versus the blitz, minus 0.42 EPA per play. About 0.15 EPA per average over the last 3 offensive coordinators. It was even positive with Brian Johnson. Now, it was way less positive with Brian Johnson, but than it was with Steichen and Moore. But this is a Brian Johnson problem magnified. And guess what? Blitz can't move the ball against the blitz. Can't move the ball against zone. Well, guess what? You're playing the Vikings. They blitz top 5 rate. It's Brian Flores, and they play as much zone as anyone in the league. So, and then you can even take it one step further. This is a team. Jalen Hurts has been horrendous against cover two specifically. Let me pull up the numbers here. Cover two specifically, he is 35% success rate, minus 0.25 EPA per play. 35% success rate is a poverty level success rate. That's dead last among all current quarterbacks. Vikings play the most cover two in the league. So this Eagles offense has a bad matchup. They already lead the league in 3-and-out rate. This team has a negative point differential on the year. Saquon Barkley's being contacted behind the line of scrimmage on 36% of his carries. That's the second most in the league. Highest of his career. It was under 25% last year. And then on the other side, this Eagles defense, it's just not elite anymore, and they have injuries. So that their defense is 19th in EPA per play, 19th in success rate. They have an average pressure rate, and now you're going to be missing you most likely going to be missing your top corner, your top interior defensive lineman, and Jalen Carter is banged up. Your safeties aren't great. The pressure isn't great off the edge. What is there really to like? So yeah, I think the Vikings, regardless of who's at quarterback, get this done at home. And one of these days, they're going to actually call the tush push right, and it's going to cost the Eagles 4 points. Hopefully, it's this week. Give me the Vikings plus 1.5 at home.
Yeah, I just can't. I don't think I'm going to bet the Eagles at all this year. I don't know. Like it seems exactly like that 2023 season where you could just kind of see it coming with them, and it's not just like last year. Remember when it was, oh, well, they can't really throw the ball. They're just running too much. They're relying on Saquon. And then like the next week they go out against Pittsburgh and Jalen Hurts, does his thing. And like, they don't have that switch this year at all. So, and the fact that guys are injured, the fact that Saquon is, has not been giving them the same explosiveness, I think regardless of, the offensive line. Yeah, I think they have big problems. And I don't know, AJ Brown, he doesn't look like the same guy beyond the Hurts issues either. So, there's just
no one looks like they're having fun. The whole lot. They need a bye week, and then maybe they'll figure things out. But I mean, the market still is. I think just continues to overvalue this team. Yes, they've covered 3 games. They covered the Rams on the most miraculous cover in the NFL in the last 30 years. They were down 20 at home in that game. They covered against the Chiefs because Travis Kelce dropped a pass at the 1 that turned into an interception. And then the only other game they covered was against the Bucks, and they almost blew that game against all the Bucks backups. Blew the game against the Broncos, get blown out against the Giants. I want no part of this team. I've faded them all year. I'll continue to fade them until further notice. So give me the Vikings skull.
I like it. All right. For my second pick, the third overall of the week 7 Sunday 6-pack, I'm going to roll with the New Orleans Saints plus 5.5, still out there against the Chicago Bears, who did come through with a cover on Monday night, but I think this is a good spot to fade them. Now they're starting to talk, they're getting all mad at the public commentators just because they're on a little win streak and riding high, facing this 1-win Saints team. Yeah, I think they're going to be a little bit overconfident in this spot. It's a shorter week, still a new coaching staff. There's some familiarity there on both sides with Dennis Allen, but more importantly, a couple of things with the Bears and the Saints. Now, Spencer Rattler, a couple of weeks ago, I remember saying, like, yeah, this guy's just turning the ball over. Like, he turns the ball over too much. He's never won. But he's gotten a lot better in these last 3 weeks, I would say, especially. And I think the Saints are doing some smart things on offense, which you figured they would under Kellen Moore. One thing that's going to be key here is I think they're cutting back on Brandon Cooks' snaps. This guy does not have a target versus like catch versus man coverage this year, basically. So he's been really struggling out there, and that's kind of hurting Rattler in his efficiency against man, which the Bears do like to play at one of the higher rates in the league. So I think that's important here. But Rattler has been cutting down on his turnovers, and he's 11th in PFF grade among all quarterbacks for the entire season now. And if you look at just first couple of weeks of the first 3 weeks of the season, he had 4 big time throws, 8 turnover worthy throws. In the last 3 weeks, he's had 5 big time throws, 1 turnover worthy throw. And that was back in week 4. So last 2 weeks, he's thrown about 57 times, nothing graded as turnover worthy. The yards per attempt is ticking up. Everything is kind of rounded into shape a little bit more. And, the Saints offense, they get back Taysom Hill. That adds an element. Shaheed with Chris Olave, and then you take Cook out of that and put like a Vele or another tight end. Remember, they also got Moreau back. So I think the offense is trending up. And then the defense, this is not a terrible defense. It's not great, but they do get pressure at a higher rate than you would think. I think they're 10th in pressure rate at PFR with at 22.3%. And that's important because Caleb Williams has kind of lucked out at times, I think, this year. Yes, they're going to improve as the year progresses too, but I think the same is true for the Saints offense, given the fact that, it's an offensive-minded coach in Kellen Moore, and Caleb Williams' numbers versus pressure are just, oh man, let me pull these up because I believe it's 4 point something. Let's see. Where is it?
Yeah, he's getting better. He's cut his sack rate in half, which is impressive, but his off-target rate is still way too high.
From a clean pocket as well. And that's the issue. So against pressure, 4.8 yards per attempt, which is obviously not good. But, from a clean pocket, he's a lot better, but still, I think too many turnover worthy throws. Accuracy percentage kind of decent, and the Saints aren't giving it as many clean pockets as you would think. Again, they're up their pressure rate, and they don't have to. They're not blitzing at a high rate either. They're blitzing at kind of a normal rate, which a lot of times when you get these teams, certain teams that you think they're terrible, and then they're just blitzing a lot, like the Jets or the Dolphins, I should say. Caleb Williams, when blitz, 6 touchdowns, no picks, but when he's just under pressure, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. 3 turnover-worthy throws, 4.8 yards an attempt. When he's blitzed, 6-0 touchdown to int ratio, 8.5 yards an attempt. So I think the Saints have a recipe to stay close here. It's also the top side in our luck rankings, and it's a B grade, which is one of the higher back-tested cover percentages. I believe it's over 57% over the last 5 years. So like this for a number of reasons, but really, I think it's time to fade the Bears. They're on a little winning streak. They beat the Raiders by a point. They needed a special teams play late in that game.
They went back-to-back games, 25-24.
Yeah, when does that happen? And coming out of a bye against
Poverty
Commanders. Yeah.
One other time in NFL history, teams won by 1 by any score, the same score by 1 in back-to-back weeks. It happened with in the 30s or something.
So that's crazy because we've also had those back-to-back weeks. Or no, it was in the same week. 2 different players with let the ball go before they score a touchdown. Or it was 2 back-to-back weeks, right? It was yeah. So it's been a crazy year. But any thoughts on the Saints?
I don't mind it. The Saints are nothing there.
All right, Stuck, we'll get to your second pick in the 4th overall in a minute. But before we move on, there's a quick and easy way for you to tail us. First, you just sign up for Action Pro, and you'll get instant notifications when any action expert tracks a bet, whether that's me, Stuckey, my guy Brandon Anderson. You want to get those right away because the lines do move. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team, plus a ton of other benefits as well. So just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code POD20. That's POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets, the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. The rest of our Sunday six pack is coming up, but first I'll throw it to myself for a quick word from our sponsor. The Action Network podcast is sponsored by DraftKings, and in partnership with DraftKings, we'd like to tell you that the next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. That's right. New customers turn $5 into $200 if your bet wins, paid instantly in bonus bets. To get started, use promo code Action Network when signing up. Once more, use Action Network when signing up with DraftKings to get on board. The crown is yours.
All right, for my second pick and the fourth overall, the week 7 Sunday 6-pack, I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers minus 1.5 at home against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, on the surface, just throwing this out there, this is the second time that Indianapolis will play in the stadium, and it's not a great home field advantage, but I really do like the spot. I'm taking a little leap of faith in how I think the injuries are going to play out. But number one, there's a lot of regression coming, I think, to both of these teams. One positive, one negative. I mean, the Colts have been really lucky. They've been pretty lucky when it comes to like fourth downs, fumbles, turnover margin, field goals there and their opponents. The Chargers are on the opposite end of the spectrum, but a lot of those. They have a 35% red zone touchdown percentage. That's anemic. I mean, the Titans, that would make sense that the Titans have it. There's only been one team in the past 5 years that finished with a red zone touchdown percentage under 40%. We've seen some bad offenses. Of course, it was a Jets offense from a couple years ago.
Oh man, of course.
But I think this is the time to fade. I mean, I faded the Colts last week. I think they've reached the peak of their market. They have wins. Their wins this year are over Knicks, Brissett, Ward, Geno Smith, and Tua. You can argue 5 of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. They're now, but most importantly, I think I'm projecting that they're probably going to be down 3 starting corners again this week. Because I doubt Javarius Ward plays. He had a concussion and it was a bad one, and it wasn't his first, and it happened on a Sunday right before the game. I think he's more likely to not to play. He's more likely to not play than to play. Kenny Moore, nickel, and by the way, those are two. Moore and Ward. Ward's been the best man coverage corner in the entire league this year. But Moore and Ward, they're both top 10 PFF grades. You look at coverage, like they have been elite all season. Maybe he's back this week, but he hasn't practiced in weeks, and he's dealing with an Achilles injury, and they're 5-1. So I think he's more likely to sit also. That means you're down to an unrestricted free agent, Mekhi Blackman. I didn't even know he was in the league anymore until recently, and Chris Lamons. Like, that's your corner group. The linebackers are also not great in coverage. It's not a super elite pressure team. So I know that Los Angeles' offensive line is a mess, but they could be healthier this week. There's a chance they should get Johnson back as well. I think I'm going to trust Justin Herbert here. There's 2 other small edges in this game. The kickers. I have the most accurate kicker in NFL history. The Colts have a failed ex-Chargers kicker in the Money Badger because their kicker is hurt. Daniel Jones, mistakes are coming. I went back and watched a lot of Daniel Jones this week. Said, okay, what am I missing? Looks a lot better. He's not taking sacks. The offensive line's obviously way better. The play calling's better. Wide receivers are better. His running game's better. But first of all, he has his turnover-worthy play percentage is about 2.5% higher than Justin Herbert's. There's that Freudian slip again. Maybe I do have to bet the Jets. So there's a huge disparity in turnover-worthy play rate, but he is not seeing safeties multiple times a game. The interceptions are coming. The Colts will probably have success running the ball here in this matchup, but the Chargers are going to make them work it down the field. The Jones mistakes are coming. So just 2 small edges there. There's some regression. The kickers, the turnovers, I think are going to favor Indianapolis. And I think from an injury perspective, the Chargers have a better chance, I think, of getting healthier at the key positions than I think the Colts do. So I think his price is cheap. Give me the Chargers at home.
Got a crazy stat for you because I figured you were going there with Daniel Jones and just how he's seeing the field. Because I noticed it as well. I don't think he's getting through progressions as well as people might think, given, he spent that year, a few months with Minnesota, and now he's over here in a good offense. Last 2 weeks, Daniel Jones has thrown to his first read 43 times. He's thrown to his second read once. And Daniel Jones is already coming in. Insane, bro. So yeah, when you talk about regression is coming and people aren't convinced, just throw that out there. Because that's something that it's more tape comes out and you watch these last 2 weeks,
and you got one of the better defensive coordinators in the NFL.
Yeah. That is how regression happens. And so yeah, I think, and listen, I give Steichen and this Colts team a lot of credit. They put him in a position to succeed. apparently didn't put Anthony Richardson in a position to succeed in any type of way. But I hope he's back on the field sooner than later. That sounded terrible, but yeah, Daniel Jones there's a lot of regression coming. I think the biggest worry, wouldn't you say, is just that Charger run defense just completely loses its shit every once in a while. Like they can't do anything. It's just get dominated. That's really the issue. I think if they can kind of keep Jones out of harm's way, because I think the Chargers defense is smartly schemed that where he's going to make some mistakes in this one if he has to throw. 48 total is like one of the higher of the week. So
yeah, I mean, but the Colts. Did you see the Colts last week without Ward and Moore?
Yeah.
Brissett, and the Cardinals had wide receiver injuries across the board, and this was not an electric passing attack. They moved the ball up and down. So I'm gonna trust Herbert against these backups, and then there's going to be a couple mistakes, and then there might be one or two more missed kicks from the Colts. Chargers get it done. Where are you going next?
All right, for my third pick and the 5th overall of the Week 7 Sunday 6-pack, I'm going to roll with the New York Giants +7 at the Denver Broncos. And this, I know, is another disgusting
Giants,
pick.
Jets, and Saints.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler, Jackson Dart, and Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor. Somehow the Jets still have the worst of the, like, I don't know, it's crazy. But okay, so I like the Broncos generally as a team, but this team I do not.
You keep fading the Broncos are the worst teams in the NFL, so you must not like them that much.
I guess I don't. I just gotta go with the money takes me, man. And this Broncos team is just not one that when I kind of model it out, it just can't get to these numbers that they're being given in the market. A -7. See if you could get a 7.5 even. I've seen it start to tick up that way. Because a lot of money's coming in on the Broncos. But this is a team that, their defense is great. Their defense is talented. Their offense is talented as well. But it's just very erratic, especially when you consider that, and maybe it's because of, Bo Nix doesn't make some of the typical like backbreaking quarterback mistakes. Like he doesn't have a super high turnover rate or sack rate or anything like that. But the Broncos just make their offense is not a smooth offense. And if you look at like early down success, even for the whole year, if you remove filter out garbage time and turnovers, just look at early down success, the Broncos are one of the worst teams in the league, and worse than the Giants in the past game, and that's including the Russell Wilson weeks with the Giants as well. So it's been like half and half at this point, 3 games each. So this Bronco offense, I think, is very mediocre, and we saw that against the Jets, where hold them to -10 passing yards, and you win by 2 points. Now they're coming off a win. They're coming off a road game, international trip, and then now they're coming back home to where, they have a good home field advantage, but this Giant team has...
That was 3 straight games away from home.
Yeah,
now you're coming back, and the Giants have extended rest.
They're feeling confident, and, I think naturally the market's going to get down on them for losing to the Saints, giving Spencer Rattler his first win, but with hindsight, now that we have more data, the loss to the Saints doesn't look quite as bad. Like, it's still not ideal, but it doesn't look quite as bad because the Saints are starting to look like more of just like a mediocrely bad team, not a like sky is falling bad team, and they're trending up. So I think that the Giants, they beat the Chargers and they beat the Eagles, and then they lost to a Saints team that might actually be mediocre by the time it's all said and done. So +7, or the Broncos laying 7 here, when they beat the Jets with -10 passing yards by 2 points on a neutral field, is absurd to me. So even with the Broncos being back at home, I think it's a better spot for the Giants. I think the Giants it's advantage Giants because there's still only 3 weeks of tape on Dart. They've been doing some weird kind of things in the offense in that span, and they've had a while to prepare and kind of figure out how to navigate this Malik Neighbors absence a little better. Maybe you get Slayton back in this spot. Wan'Dale Robinson is their best receiver, and he doesn't figure to see Sutton as much as a team's top receiver would on most teams. So
Certain.
That's Sutton. I'm still thinking about that one catch. Gabe, let me say it again. Yeah, so Wan'Dale Robinson is their top receiver, and he won't see as much of Patrick Surtain as most teams' number one receivers would because Wan'Dale can just go to slot anytime. So I think the Giants have a bunch of little small advantages in this spot, and 7 points for this Bo Nix offense that put up a struggle 13, and it pretty much didn't look much better than the Jets in that game last week. They just got a touchdown to a random tight end, which is what they do under Sean Payton. But I've noticed this all year. And it's tough to quantify, but I know it's true because Sean Payton says it after every game. He's like, I just screwed up like, one or two or three play calls. And you look at this Broncos, it's not smooth right now. I don't think they're maximizing what they have, but they're a veteran coaching staff and they'll get it done somehow. But it's just not a smooth operation. They're relying way too much on their defense. And I think that another thing that's important for the Giants, their pass rush here should be, better than it's been coming off rest. And Broncos had that Powers injury. And then on the other side,
the Broncos O-line didn't look as good last week against the Jets, and the Giants have a much better. I mean, Abdul Carter's been like the best pass rushing linebacker in the NFL as a rookie so far.
And he's coming off the bye. So rookies off buys, they might, just say, hey, change it up with the usage, and he's out there even more. But on the other side, everyone's going to be worried about this Giant offense, rookie quarterback, fourth start on the road in Denver against the Broncos defense. Well, another low-key improving in addition to the Saints and Spencer Rattler, the Giants offensive line has looked a lot better over his past few games since Andrew Thomas came back. And that tends to be the case every single year, but they're getting contributions kind of across the board a little more solidly now. So we think of the Giants team as just this piss-poor offensive line, but you got a running quarterback, you got a better back than you've had in a while in Scadaboo, and you've got a better offensive line than you've had with Daniel Jones at any point, I think. So this Giant team, I just don't think they should be 7-point dogs against a shaky offense in itself in Denver. So give me the Giants, give me a 7. See if you can get 7.5 because I think it might tick that way depending on what happens throughout the week.
Yeah, I could only go Giants or nothing. It's a decent situational spot. I worry that the Broncos are so good against mobile quarterbacks. They don't really let them run at all because they have so much speed. But you can run on them a bit, like power runs. So that's what I think the Giants are going to have to lean on. And they don't have like a 1 anymore without Neighbors. So that kind of dampens the impact of having Surtain, who can just remove your number 1. But yeah, I mean, if this, especially at 7.5, this closed at 7.5, that's where the Titans closed at week 1 with a rookie quarterback making his first ever start on the road. So the Giants are, I would say, a lot more competent than the Titans' entire operation. And this is a decent situational spot. So I don't blame you for this one. All right, for my third pick and the 6th and final overall, the Week 7 Sunday 6-pack, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns -2.5 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Full disclosure, I haven't played this yet. I'm probably going to money line this with the Chiefs. I did this with the last week with the Chiefs and the Packers. Because should be a really low scoring game. Points at a premium. Like I could see this being like 17, 16, 7. But so like with points at a premium, I might buy a cheap money line or parlay. Would say the Chiefs money line. More on that Chiefs game later. But that's why I haven't put it in the app yet. I'm still just trying how to approach it. But I really do like the Browns to win this game. Here's what I think this comes down to. Number 1, there should be weather. Looks like there's going to be rain. There could be some wind. Or there might be a lot of wind. There could be gusts of 25 to 30 miles per hour. So if that's the case, how do you attack this Browns defense, first of all? Number 1, you can't at home. For years, no one can move the ball on them when they're in Cleveland. When you do move the ball, most of the time this happens if you're playing at home, you have to hit explosive pass plays. I mean, I think Cleveland's 21st in that department this year. Well, the Dolphins are 24th, and they don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, and there might be wind and weather, and they can't block. They have no offensive line. So good luck blocking this Cleveland defensive line at home, who seems to just dominate games no matter who they play. So in this, and then, Dylan Gabriel and wind. Oh, wow. Okay. That's not really going to impact things. He's not throwing the ball downfield and he's not doing so accurately. This becomes a run game, I think, for both teams. Well, the Browns are third in rush success rate defense, Dolphins 22nd. Browns second in rush EPA defense, Dolphins 31st. Their run defense is pitiful. Well, in on passing downs, they just try to blitz and bring the house. Well, I mentioned this before. Gabriel, throughout his college career, was elite, was the best quarterback in college football for years against the blitz. So there is that. Browns do have some injuries worth noting. Njoku, but my guy Fannon's still there. Cam Robinson, their left tackle, he did practice today. No brace, no nothing. He should be good. I doubt Conklin plays at right tackle, but he hasn't been healthy. You probably stick Lucas back in there. Whatever. It's not going to be great, but you're going against this Dolphins team that's doing nothing right. Like this Dolphins team has no redeeming qualities. None. They like the offense. I mean, Tua leads the NFL in turnover worthy play percentages. No Tyreek Hill. I don't think you're able to hit explosive plays. The offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. The secondary is one of the worst in the NFL. They're blitzing at a top 5 rate, but they're getting pressure at a bottom 5 rate. What is to like? At least I have with the Browns a run game that should have more success against the bad run D, and the best unit on the field by far with their defense at home. Give me the Browns to get this done at home on a classic fall windy day in the land.
Oh yeah, I'll have more on this game. I totally agree with you on this Dolphin offense. It's just going to run into a wall in this spot. This is an ugly one. If you hadn't gone with Herbert, I mean, where would we be right now? Justin Fields, McCarthy or Wentz, Rattler, and Herbert, but then Jackson Dart in Denver, and closing it out with Dylan Gabriel. That's a 6-pack right there. That's a 5-pack at least. And then
Gabriel's bad, by the way. He's not going to be the guy, but they're just going to you can go run heavy in the spot.
He's better than Shador.
So you can just go completely. But I mean, this would be a huge Judkins game against a really bad run day. So
they're taking him out at the goal line. This team, I don't know what this team is doing, and they're somehow still going to probably beat the Dolphins by double digits. That tells you where the Dolphins are. But
by the way, my 2 survivors hit last week with I still have 2 left. Who did I use? I used the Chiefs and someone really bad.
Yeah,
I used an underdog. Who did I use?
Oh my god! You used the Saints against the Giants the week before that. I think I remember. Right?
Yeah. Let me see. Let me check who I used. I used. The reason I bring this up, let's see. I used. Oh, the Raiders. That wasn't too terrible. And no, my high risk one. I used the. I used the Panthers and the Raiders. And
love it.
Another one that I'm with a friend, and I use the Chiefs. But the reason I bring that up, using this big pool, I'm using the Browns this week.
I knew you were gonna say either the Browns or the Jets. I was like, oh my god, I don't mind it. I don't know how they're gonna score either, but the Dolphins. I can't remember the last time a team looked like it was gonna be a disaster, and then. Actually, it just played out exactly how we thought. Usually it's the market is it's so talked about that then they go and they go on a run and it happens later in the year. No, it's just a disaster from week 1 and it's still a disaster. And
yeah, we were talking about in our offseason pods, it could look at alts. They could end up with the worst record. That's still in the cards.
Yeah, I think I have a bet on that. I bet them to have the worst record when we talked about it. I'm hoping that the Browns beat them because that would go a long way. But it's just
and then you might get some quit. McDaniel fired, which I don't think is going to help anything. It's just going to.
It might because, bro, I think
he's checked out. I think
they can't like him, and they can't like him. I don't like him anymore. Watching him talk, which is
he's also just zoned out on the sideline. He's not engaged anymore. He looks like he's just high, like he just ate a bunch of weed gummies and he's just going through
This is what happens when they legalize that shit. Because I try to tell people you can't just treat it just because it's I think he's one of those victims of that shit. Because you're right, he's always vaping on the sidelines and his team is just going up in fucking flames. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our Week 7 Sunday 6-pack. If you like to tail some of these picks, just look for the quick slip link down below in the podcast video description. And Be sure to sign up to Action Pro for instant notification when all our bets are tracked. All right, we are back. Stuck. Favorite total of the week. You're up first. I went first on the 6-pack. Where are you going?
Let's go with the Raiders Chiefs under 45.5. I think there's a lot of ways to get here, but when the Chiefs have the ball, look, they're going to get Rice back. I'm a believer in this Chiefs offense. It's going to be a problem the rest of the year. But the Raiders, what are they going to do? They're going to play a ton of coverage, just try to prevent explosive plays. You could have Crosby make a couple negative plays here. He's going to have a favorable matchup on the outside. But most importantly, this Raiders offense is it's broken. And I don't think Bowers is going to play. You got a bye coming up. You got to get him healthy the way that he's talking. Without Colton Miller, the offensive line is a mess. I mean, against the Titans last week, yeah, they won by 10, but what did they average? Like 4 yards per play? It was disgusting. So the most likely scenario here is that the Chiefs get a lead, a decent sized lead, and then the Chiefs at home do what they do at home, is they sit on the ball, long grinding drives in the second half to kill the clock, and could have some wind here as well, which might limit some of the explosive passing, which is more impactful to the Chiefs now because I mean this is Patrick Mahomes is I mean he's like this year he's vintage average air yards back to peak Mahomes. He has his highest passer rating back to peak Mahomes. They're gonna have all their weapons, so the wind could also be a factor, but this game could really die in the second half, and this Raiders offense just can't do anything, especially without Bowers. Like Bowers was their chess piece every week, the mismatch problem, the best tight end in the NFL, best pass catching tight end in the NFL. And then you're missing one of the best left tackles in the NFL, and your offensive line is already a disaster. The offense is also called. I don't know what they're doing from a play calling perspective. So I like this Chiefs offense and where it's headed, but I think this is a good spot for an under.
Yeah, I was about to say, we don't even know for sure if Bowers would have been that same chess piece this year because of the way the offense was called. Like some people heading into the year thought Bowers was going to play less snaps, and then he got injured, so it was moot. But it's a head scratching watch every week for the Raiders, and then the Rice return is very impactful for the Chiefs in terms of them scoring less or taking longer to score. Because if you have Brown, Worthy, and Thornton as your top three, and I know, and Juju mixing in as well, but if you have those guys in your top four, that's going to be your main rotation. You have three deep ball guys immediately. I still think Juju mixes in now, and so it's more of a 5-man rotation. And so Rice is another short area guy. So it actually does help because he's going to command a ton of targets, I think.
Yeah.
And
he might be a little rusty.
Drives.
Like there could be a little, there could be a couple drops or something, like just getting back into the flow. And Josh Simmons, their starting left tackle, is starting to look good. I don't know. I really don't know. Hope everything's okay with him. I really don't know what's going on. Like he had a personal issue with scratch, and today they just said Veach is handling it. He wasn't at practice, so that's something else to keep in mind because the Raiders basically don't prevent an explosive play and hope that Crosby makes a play against the opposing tackle, and he's going to have some favorable. He could have some very favorable matchups this week. So, yeah, I like the under there. Where you going?
I'm going to roll with the Browns Dolphins under that. You essentially made the case for in your Browns pick, so I don't have to say much, but under 40, we'll go for the contest. I don't see any 40.5. It's probably going to continue to drop. There's weather. There's Dolphins' terrible offensive line on the road against one of the best defenses in the league. And if you look at the Dolphins all year, they've been scoring and they've been bleeding points. Well, the Browns can't score, and the Dolphins are not going to be able to run here, which really helps their offense because they hardly are ever able to. Devon Achane last week went crazy against the Chargers. Now he's going to probably be back to like 20 yards on the ground. It's going to just be dink and dunk, Tua getting the ball out of his hands super fast because he doesn't want to get hit or put himself at risk for concussions, and McDaniels doesn't want that either. And now you have this added friction of Tua, McDaniel, just everything going on with this team. You're going to Cleveland. And Cleveland, by the way,
Cleveland can't score. They haven't scored more than 18 in 11 straight games. So
yeah,
I think they win this game. They might actually clear that for the first time, but
they might not.
It'd have to be like 20-17.
This Cleveland team is playing for field goals down 2 scores in late in the second half. Like, they're going on 17-play field goal drives. Like this team is just utterly absurd. Like it reminds me almost of a tanking NBA team. Like it's they just inserted Gabriel randomly, and yet somehow, as you said, they still have an edge as a favorite over the Dolphins. That's how bad things are for Miami. But I don't think Cleveland is interested in. I just think they're trying to get in and out of these games now and get on with another draft. That's what I think they're trying to do. So they're just gonna rely on their defense, and it's fine with me for the under. So under 40 for Browns and Dolphins, under 45.5 for Stuck for Chiefs Raiders. Now it's time for our money line underdog parlay. All right, Stuck, you started hot at 5-0, lost last week for the first time, so you got to get back to it. Where are you going for week 7?
I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys over the Washington Commanders. I would have had this in my 6-pack if I had a little more certainty with the injury situations, specifically at receiver for both teams. But I think there's a pretty good chance the Cowboys look a lot healthier at wide receiver this week. Noah Brown went on IR, still unsure on McLaurin. Daniels is not playing that well. This offense has just been meh. He's had injuries. There was injuries to his receivers and like contract holdouts. There's just that the timing is off with this offense. The defense is bad.
Yep.
And Dak is playing at an insane level right now. Arguably, like it's like him, Baker. It's pretty funny. Like the top quarterbacks in the league right now, based on performance to date, have been him, Baker, and Darnold. I think you would say.
But two of those three, all three of them are liable to just do the complete opposite in the playoffs. But I feel like Baker's and then Dak and then Darnold, that would be like the trust. But yeah, Dak has been amazing, and
he's been doing it without some of his receivers for a lot of the, and he had like without offensive linemen, and they should be much healthier this week.
Schottenheimer, man.
Yeah, Schottenheimer looks.
Yo, he got Javonte Williams over 4 yards of carry. He got him over like 5 yards of carry, pretty much.
I'm telling you, it's Clayton Adams.
Yeah, good call.
With the Cardinals last year, their offense has cratered. Their run game has cratered. Now there's been injuries, but I think that he might be an integral piece of that. But yeah, I mean, with all the injury uncertainty here at the receiver position, the way that Dak is playing at home with that offense, I think this is just a coin flip game. So give me the money on him. This feels like a game where if the Cowboys have the ball late, they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I have enough confidence to take the Bears. I sprinkled some money line last week on the Bears against the Commanders. I don't think this team is very good. Coming into the year, I thought
you finally come around.
I mean, you can't like miss it. It's Jaden Daniels has taken a big step back statistically. I don't know if people notice it because he's getting the rushing yards and the fantasy points, and they were, they beat the Chargers, which doesn't look as impressive anymore. But he's not playing as well. And you're just not getting by with these poverty receivers. Like, I couldn't believe that. I can't believe they're a road favorite again against a top offense after being essentially a 6-point road favorite with no receivers. I don't get the market on this team, but I think they're a fade. I'm going to fade a team that is actually been very good. So this is a little more dicey, but like the spot for the Jaguars, going money line. Plus 136. Again, this, just like yours, could have been in my 6-pack, but early in the week, don't know for sure about the Rams injury situation. When I say Rams injury situation, I'm talking about mainly about Puka Nacua. That would be a major loss. It sounds like he's trending toward missing, but McVay kept the door open, and McVay tends to be straightforward too. So you can't kind of go either way here just yet, but that's a massive loss for this Rams offense. Puka Nacua is a bigger part of his offense than any other receiver in football right now. So, and you're talking, and then you're just
he's the zone god too, and that's right. Jags going to play a ton of zone.
Yeah, both teams do, but yeah, the Jags play a ton of zone, and Stafford has crushed zone, but a lot of that is just Puka Nacua. That's why with all their metrics, it's just Puka Nacua being I'm not going to say the entire pass offense, but remember, Devontae Adams. We haven't seen him just Devontae with no Puka, who's we don't know what he's going to give us at this stage. He's caught a few long touchdowns. He hasn't been like a complete bona fide superstar the way he was in years past, or the way Nakua is. And then you also have Tutu Atwell, who's a bigger part of their offense that people say he's banged up. A tight end, at least one tight end is banged up every week. Havenstein's banged up. The backup running back Corum is banged up, which Kyron plays so many snaps already. So, and then you have familiarity here. You have William Cohn, so no one's going to catch anyone by surprise. I think the Jaguars are getting a little bit underrated in the market because of the Bengals loss, and then last week you lose to Seattle at home, but the Jaguars' offensive metrics are starting to tick a little bit below average if you don't adjust for strength of schedule. But the Seahawks, I think, are one of the best defenses in the league. I think there's no shame in losing to the Seahawks. And then the other losses to the Bengals, who are so horrible that it in the strength of schedule models, it's knocking them for that. So the Jaguars really are kind of in a weird spot, but you still got victories against the Chiefs, victory against the Niners, against the Texans. So you got victories against some quality teams, quality defenses, and the Rams are another one of these kind of teams. And I think there's luck regression coming to the Jags. The Rams as well, but I think more so to the Jags. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has just dealt with so many drops this year. It is absurd. And if the Rams don't have Nakua, or they have Nakua at less than full health, I think those lucky bounces, they're just going to favor the Jaguars, because that already is unlucky just to not have Puka Nakua for, at full strength. So I'm going to take the Jags. May play some spread as well, but I think they can win here in London. 4-2. Both games is an underdog in London, by the way. That's kind of their home away from home. Both games is an underdog. They have won outright. So 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread, 4-2 overall in London.
Yeah, McVay's he kept the team out east going to London. He has been to London before. He has been overseas and has won both his games. He's usually good at preparing his teams for that, but the Jags this is like their home away from home. I agree with the Pakua uncertainty. This is a good money line dog. Robert Hainsey traveled with the team too. He's actually really important. The Jags they were going up against an elite defensive line. They're going up against Gobin this week. He traveled with the team to London. He's been the best interior. He's been the best run blocking center in the league this year. And their pressure packages, everything, all of their pass protections fell apart last week. Devin Lloyd is out. They will miss Brennan Strange. So there's some injuries there, but
they shouldn't. They shouldn't be missing Brenton Strange, because I feel like none of the receivers have really been unlocked. Like Thomas.
I like him in the red zone though. I like him having him in the red zone.
Fair.
But yeah, the Nakua uncertainty here, I think makes this a very good moneyline dog pick.
Parlay Dallas plus 114 at DraftKings, Jacksonville plus 136 at DraftKings. You get plus 405 odds, or about 4-1. And now we're going to do another parlay. It is time for our Anytime Touchdown Parlay presented by DraftKings. Last week, Stuck, as you mentioned, we cashed at plus 416. Trey McBride, Ashton Genty. It looks easy in hindsight, right? I mean, Trey McBride was probably the shakier one, even though the Raiders' offense is more poverty, just because for some reason he doesn't score as many touchdowns as he should. But you've been hot this whole year, and as you were again, came through with a touchdown for us. So where are you going this week?
We're going with an ugly game here. All right, so this price isn't out as we're recording it on DraftKings as of now, but I'll tweet it out. I'll log in the app when these prices become available. I'm estimating it'll be around 3-1. I don't know for sure. Not my forte. But I'm going to go with Harold Fannin against the Miami Dolphins. Look, you got a rookie quarterback at home, and Njoku is hurt. And by the way, last week when Njoku got hurt, Fannin played 81% of the snaps. He had a 75% route share, and he had 10 targets, season high. Dolphins are horrible at defending tight ends. They're horrible at everything, but they're horrible at defending tight ends as well. So, yeah, in the red zone here, rookie quarterback who can't really see much of the defense, doesn't have great receiver options. I think Fannin's going to get some looks, and he also could get a carry. Like sometimes they use him and run him. So there's multiple options here for Fannin to get in the end zone. So we're gonna go with Harold Fannin. To calculate this for now, we'll call it plus 300. But like I said, whenever it comes out on DraftKings, I will tweet it and put it in the Action Network app along with yours. Where are you going? Do you like that one, by the way?
Yep, I love it. I've loved Fannin all year. I've been talking. I mean, I've been talking about him pretty much as long as you have on. When you mentioned him earlier, I think it was in the one of the Tampods we did. But this guy's just getting targets every week, and this it was easy to see that they were going to switch back to that two tight end offense, which was the staple of Stefanski before the Deshaun Watson thing blew everything up. So I love him.
Yeah, he's a beat. Leads all tight ends in yards after contact.
It was right from week one too. It was right from week one. Like immediately was
yeah,
involved.
you could see
This
it.
was yep. I'm gonna go with the guy who started a little slower, but I think he's going to have to kind of be what Fannin is to Cleveland in his offense, at least for this week. And that's Mason Taylor. Should be around plus 240 odds to score a touchdown. If you don't know who it is, it's just the rookie tight end for the New York Jets. And yes, we're taking a Jet to score a touchdown.
We're taking a Jet and a Brown to score. Let's go.
I mean, that's
well. Last week we took a Cardinal and a Raider.
Fair, exactly. Yeah, you gotta go where the value is. But you look at the Panthers, kind of a similar scheme that gives up a lot of yards to tight ends. Tied for third in touchdowns allowed to tight ends at 4 through 6 weeks. Ferguson scored on him last week. Waller scored on him in week 5. Hunter Henry scored on him in week 4. So 3 weeks in a row, the Carolina Panthers have been scored on by the opposition's number 1 tight end. That is Mason Taylor, getting about an 80% route share. It's been ticking up, and no Garrett Wilson in this game. So that's the major thing. If the Jets are throwing, Taylor's likely to be the top target. He's likely to be the first read. Right. And, because running backs don't tend to get that treatment. I'm sure Breece Hall, he'll have maybe a couple screens drawn up for him, but you're going to see Taylor, I think, get a lot of targets and be in the progressions a ton. And Josh Reynolds is also on the injury report now. He was their number 1 receiver once Wilson went down. I mean, it's just the Jets offense is in shambles, but it's a bounce back spot. It's a letdown spot for Carolina, and another rookie who is kind of scratching the surface. So yeah, I think both of these guys are due. All right, so Fannin, Mason Taylor, 2 rookie tight ends, both to score touchdowns this week is our Anytime Touchdown Parlay presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, Stuck. So before we get out of here, we got our touchdown in. Survivor's dead. Let me start. You usually want to fade. I know you have thoughts on these Thursday games. You usually want to fade a team like the Steelers. What are you doing with the Bengals Steelers in Cincy?
Yeah, my numbers lean Cincy. It's not a game I'm running to bet, but if I can get 6, I'm probably going to play it. I'll probably play it small. I think this should be like 4. I mean, look, the Steelers are 4-1, but they should have lost to the Patriots. They who else did they beat? Like it's not been. They should have lost to the Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah, they should have lost to the Jets in that game. So, is Trey Hendrickson not going to play though? And then the Bengals can't stop anyone. I mean, the defense is so bad. But home divisional dog here, desperation spot against I think an overvalued Steelers team. I could only look at the Bengals. There's also maybe. I mean, I should never say this against the Steelers, but the Steelers have allowed 0 points off turnovers. The Bengals have allowed 52. But that's probably going to happen when you have Rodgers and they have Flacco. It's not going to be as bad as Browning, but you also have another week of flat, but it's not a full. It's only a short week, which isn't ideal. But you have another couple days, and you had a game under your belt of Flacco, learning the playbook at least, getting more acclimated with. That could only help. Not a game I love. Numbers say small Bengals.
Tomlin is gonna, but Tomlin's big. This might be like a reverse rah-rah spot.
Yeah, he's always really bad in these games. On the road against a losing team, horrible.
But I'm saying it might be a reverse because he's extra motivated because remember he just chewed out the Browns for trading Flacco to the Bengals in the first place. So I kind of worry that the Steelers may get up more than they usually would for this Thursday game coming off it's just it's a weird spot. It's kind of a stay away for me, but I might be looking at some Jalen Warren overs because he's been kind of held in check. If you look at the number of carries he's had to not really have any explosive plays or anything like that. You got the contract extension. He's playing over Gainwell again. So I think he's due to have a bigger game than he's had on the ground at some point. So I might look that way. But what other games did we? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say others. We had Falcons, 49ers. I need more injury intel. I mean, the Niners. They're just like this is a stars and scrubs defense because of they had to pay a lot of their main guys, including Purdy, and now you lose Fred Warner. You already lost Bosa. Your pressure weight has gone down to like nothing without Bosa on the field. I mean, it is bad, and now you don't have Fred Warner. The trickle down effect of that is massive, but it's not a great spot for Atlanta. Like off the big win over Buffalo, short week going across the country. I don't know. Need more injury intel on like who's going to be available for San Francisco too early in the week.
Luck over though. I should point out it's a strong luck over. Shots to our guy Nick Giffen with an edge of over 2.5 points, I believe. Which those are like as good as it gets for luck overs who have been crushing it.
I don't mind that overlook either.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say with no pressure, no Fred Warner, this is gonna be a completely different Niners defense, and I think the Falcons they can exploit it, and they're taking steps with their offense. I mean, they outright just healthy scratched Ray McCloud, the infamous Ray McCloud, even with Mooney out. So I think the Falcons are kind of making a concerted effort to put more points on the board and not just be one of those teams that runs and tries to salt away the game. So yeah, I think the over
I would check. I know that the 49ers are banged up, but I would make sure that Jake Matthews plays. They're already without their right tackle. Their backup is Mike Jarrell, who is horrendous. He was so bad in the second half against Buffalo. It was insane. So you don't want to be down both your tackles because they're like already trying to compensate. And their offensive line's been good, but they're like compensating for not having their right tackle and McGarry.
True. Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind there. So a lot of injuries, stuff to keep track of. Same with Arizona, Green Bay. Like I don't know. Arizona's injury situation is a mess, and I don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback. Like I don't think Brissett would look as good this week because number one, there's injuries at wide receiver that we have to check on. Also, the Colts lost Ward before the game, and then we're down to 3 backup corners. So now you're going up against the Packers. Like the Packers' advantage is, look, they're number one in the league in explosive play rate. They prevent explosives as well as anybody. That's hard to overcome when you're an Arizona team that can't really run it, and you're either going to have Brissett in a banged up wide receiver room against this Packers defense, or if they decide to go with Murray. I mean, Murray without his legs, potentially. I don't know. So I need more intel there. And then the last one was Tennessee at home against New England. Like I want to sell high on Tennessee. Excuse me, on New England. Drake May has been amazing. Like any metric, he's been incredible. He's been one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league to date. There's no Callahan there anymore. How much is that worth? The offensive line is finally healthy. I mean, Latham looked horrible last week, but maybe that was just some rust from coming back. It would be Tennessee or nothing, but I don't have a very strong feel on it. Anything for you?
So that game, I might take some alt lines in both directions and just play it that way because I think it's such a high variance game where number one, you also have Vrabel wants to probably beat the Panthers.
Yes, Vrabel, because this normally be like a little flat spot, like going New England is riding high.
Nope, not this time.
Yeah, this will be their 3rd straight road game after 2 wins, and then but yeah, they're going to be ready. But there's also the coaching bump that you usually see for that first week, and this could be the biggest we've ever seen because it was like arguably the worst head coach of all time. But yeah, Vrabel's going to have them ready and might not take his foot off the gas.
Yes, that's what I'm kind of worried about because on the surface, the Patriots are going to go up 7-0 on the Titans, or they're going to go up 7 on the Titans at some point. It's going to be a rushing touchdown, like the 4th rushing touchdown in the game. Like that's the way to bet this game. Just parlay everyone on the Patriots to score a rushing touchdown. Drake May, Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, and then hope the other back doesn't play. So you got 3 guys getting all the carries. This Titan team just bleeds rushing touchdowns. But yeah, I don't think they would take their foot off the gas. And didn't the Titans almost beat the Patriots last year in when Drake May starts?
It went to overtime, yeah.
Yeah, so they're probably more motivated, which probably cancels. And then Calvin Ridley is not healthy for the.
I think the Titans beat them. It was one of their wins last year. Yeah, the Titans beat them in
Oh,
overtime.
yeah. I knew I was like remembered something with. Yeah, so the Patriots are going to be motivated here, which takes me off all of the +7 and or home dog new coach would normally just be all over the Titans, and I've been trying to hold off too because it gets tempting, but I'm just worried about Raybon and May. The fact that May's doing this with Stephon Diggs, who's supposed to be his best receiver, not even really playing a full complement of snaps or being 100%, doing it with different guys every single week. Like Douglas was benched one week and now he's catching
and no run game, not a great run protecting unit,
not a great pass defense, not just doing it. It reminds me a little bit of Andrew Luck when he broke out, and he's just like, oh, this guy's just making other people stars. Like he's just that.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. That I'm like not adjusting up to him enough. So it's a pass for me as of now.
Yep. I mean, hey, just take some Drake May rushing props. Like I said, everyone's gonna score on the ground in this game. But all right, that's a wrap for us on the Week 7 Action Network podcast. Shout out to our sponsor, DraftKings. If you want to tail some of the bets we discussed today, you can find that quick slip link in the video and podcast description, or visit actionnetwork.com/bet. Now, if you're next, check out Playbook. Just tag @Playbook, and our AI bot will create a bet slip for you with whatever bet you're looking for all season long. You can hear more of me and Sean Kerner on the Fantasy Flex. Stuck is on the favorites and big bets on campus. And we're next @Stuckey2. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the Action app. Until next week, let's get this money.
Let go.